Hello and a very warm welcome to this week's Scene on 7. I'm Steve Brennan. Now then, I'd like to begin this week's programme by eating a bit of humble pie. No, it's not the recipe of the week, but, yes, you heard it here, congratulations to Manchester United on the FA Cup win over Chelsea last week. Chelsea dominated the game for 60 minutes, as you're all aware, had a dubious penalty decision and an offside goal against them, and it was all over. Oh, well, maybe next year. Now, while I reach for a tissue to wipe away the tears, here's a look at this week's lineup on Scene on 7. We meet Larry the Labrador, I think he's a Labrador, and his owner, Caroline Oldfield, live in the studio. He is amazing. Steve Hyland gets to grips with Gladiator Scorpio at a recent fashion show at the Observatory. The making of a mayor. Councillor Ron Sibley becomes the mayor of Slough, and we were there to witness the occasion. We look at the Learning Channel and find out exactly what it's all about. Channel 31 on cable. Also, we try and help you by preventing the theft of your mobile phone. Boxing, the controversy, and the positive side with Umran Shiraz live in the studio. Also, I'd like to say a very special hello to two regular viewers to Scene on 7, May and Charlie Langford of Merryside in Langley. Hello to you. From your daughter Debbie as well. My studio guests this week are Ron Piggott, who is about to walk for charity from Land's End to John O'Groats, and boxer Umran Shiraz. But first, man's best friend comes under the spotlight yet again. Prepare to be amazed. Guide dogs for the blind are a familiar sight, but there's a growing demand for dogs for the disabled. In a moment, I'll be meeting Caroline Oldfield and the star of this report, Larry. Patricia Mitchell is our reporter.
We're at the home of Caroline Oldfield, who's the chairperson for the local branch of Dogs for the Disabled. And we're also going to meet Larry. Larry, fetch the milk. Before we see what Larry can do, could you just outline the nature of your disability for us?
I have arthritis, diabetes and asthma and a stability problem.
What does that mean in terms of the restriction of your movement, how you can get about from place to place?
I used not to be able to get out very much, and now I have Larry who goes with a harness. He gives me the confidence to go out because I lean on him, and he's really transformed my life.
What exactly is Larry trained to do for you?
He's trained outside to cope with stability, uneven ground, help me up and down stairs when he's in harness. And indoors he helps me with my paper, my post, brings in my milk, loads and unloads my washing machine.
So he actually puts the washing in and takes it out?
Indeed, yes, but I haven't trained him yet to hang it up yet.
So a lot of the restrictions in your life have disappeared?
It's been alleviated enormously, and of course with mobility in the car, I can get out now quite a lot. It's been most helpful.
And were you not able to get out so much before?
I was able to, but I was very lacking in confidence. It's very embarrassing when you're in a supermarket and you fall over, and suddenly from nowhere all people come, can I help you, can I help you? And the staff come with a wheelchair and say you must be checked over in case you've hurt yourself. And you feel highly embarrassed. Or you fall down between two cars in a multi-storey car park and you can't get up again. And there's nobody ever around to ask for help. And so there again, Larry now can help me. I have the confidence to go out.
So he's helped you on two fronts. He's helped you both from the point of view that you've got a friend around, and he actually physically helps you to get your balance.
That's right, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Larry is trained to do specific things for you, like you said, bringing the milk in, putting the washing in and out, but other dogs for the disabled actually do other things. What other things can they be trained to do?
They can retrieve cordless telephones, to activate light switches, pull alarm bell cords to get assistance. But then there are specific needs, of course. For instance, we have one person who has no movement in an arm, but when it falls off the wheelchair arm, that his dog is trained to walk behind balance the arm on his head, take 3 paces forward. Oh, I've had enough of this, and tosses it back in the lap of, you know, this person. So there are specific needs that they're then trained to do as well.
Right.
And I might say that not all dogs for the disabled are in harness. Only the people with stability problems. Because disabilities come in all forms, wheelchairs, people on crutches, or, as in my case, a stability problem.
Right, now also, I know when we've spoken about this previously, you've mentioned that sometimes people try and play with the dog when you're actually out walking with the dog, and that causes all sorts of problems for you. Can you explain that for us?
Well, it does. We put a dog in a command position, particularly at a counter, and if people then come up and encourage the dog by come here or holding out a packet of crisps, or a child wanting to stroke the dog, the next thing you know, your arm is being taken away from you, pulled against your joints, and either I'm about to fall over, but the worst thing is they're encouraging the dog to be disobedient to me, or the owner. I mean, it could be a guide dog just as easily. And it would be helpful if people were aware that these are working dogs and not pets. And by all means, ask the handler, would it be all right if I touch your dog or stroke it? Then we can say, you know, upstand or whatever, and put the dog out of a command situation by saying free time. And then that's fine. But just to come up behind the dog and stroke it, of course his head's going to turn around and see what's happening. And next thing is I'm over, or my arms have gone against my joints or whatever.
In addition to Larry's other talents, Larry can pick up dropped items such as keys, remote controls. He picks up his own food bowl, and he helps Caroline if she falls over. Every day Larry is put through his paces by Caroline, and at the end of it all, Caroline has taught Larry to wipe his own feet.
Oh, good boy.
He is a good boy too, and it's a pleasure to welcome Caroline and, of course, Larry to WMTV. Hello, Caroline, and welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Hello, Larry, and welcome, but he can't hear me. He doesn't really know what's going on, but look at him, look, he's absolutely beautiful. First of all, how would you sum up the importance of Larry in your life?
Oh, he's the man of my life. Why have a 2-legged variety when you can have 4? He's great comfort, he's a good guard dog, he's given me independence, and he's just wonderful. He doesn't demand his shirts be ironed or anything, so he's...
And as regards cooking, you don't have to cook a 3-course main meal and have it ready at a certain time?
No, he's on dry dog food.
He's absolutely wonderful. He is so beautiful. How old is he?
He's 3.
He's marvellous. There must be a tremendous amount of training involved in getting a dog like him, including him, of course, to the standards we've seen in that film. What sort of training's involved, and how much does it cost to train one of these dogs?
It costs £2,500 approximately, and they're taken as puppies for puppy walking, and then they go back to the training centre. We have 2, Leamington Spa and Exeter, where they're put through their paces and social behaviour, obedience, and then any specific requirements required for people, as in my case, stability. He's got to learn to walk with harness on. And not all dogs, of course, have a harness.
So in many respects, it's quite similar to the training that a guide dog would receive,
Very
but
similar.
With extra tasks involved.
That's right.
I thought the picking up of the milk and things was amazing.
Loading and unloading my washing machine.
Right. How, which is another thing a 2-legged man probably wouldn't do for you. How do people with certain disabilities, how are they entitled to a dog, and how do they go about applying for one?
If they're registered disabled, but not have a hearing impairment or a visual impairment, they can make application to head office in Leamington Spa, and they will take it up from there. And, there is a waiting list, and as a suitable dog comes along, so they will try and pair them up and
What exactly is the length of the waiting list at the moment?
That I don't know at the moment, because that's dealt with at head office.
Right, and how many of the dogs are there currently working? They are working dogs. How many of them are there at the moment in the country?
Well, when I got Larry 6 months ago, he was dog number 69, so I reckon we're in about the 80s now throughout the country.
But nowhere near enough?
No, we could do with a lot more, because for every 1 registered blind person, there are 6 registered disabled in Berkshire.
Right.
So we need to get the word out that we're here to help them.
The organisation's called Dogs for the Disabled, quite obviously. What sort of support does the organisation need right now?
Funding, really. Donations, people and groups that could help raise some money, and things like that, you know, if they'd like to help, would be wonderful.
Are Labradors the best type of dog for this work? Are they the most suitable, would you say?
Well, they have a wonderful temperament, but we also do have retrievers, German Shepherds, Belgian Shepherds, collie dogs, and in a couple of cases even a poodle.
Earlier on outside, just before we came to the studio, you were telling me about the methods that are used to combine a dog and an owner. What sort of things do they look for?
Well, obviously, if you've got somebody who's highly excitable, you don't want to place them with a neurotic dog, because they'll feed off each other.
Vice versa.
And equally, in Larry's case, I needed a strong dog because of my instability in order to get me up, but also to walk at the same pace as the recipient.
That's really important.
Yes, because if he goes ahead of me too fast,
Over
he'll have
you
me
go.
over. Yes.
And you do, as you say, need a strong dog, because you actually use him as something of a support when you're
Indeed.
getting out of the chair, or, God forbid, if you should fall over.
Yes.
And he's quite happy about that, isn't he? He seems to
He puts
relish
up
in
with
it.
Yes.
What type of other dogs did you mention? German Shepherds and things like that?
German Shepherds, retrievers, collies, poodles.
But
for
the
those that
average
are
type
asthmatic.
of working dog?
Yes, they are working dogs.
You'd like very much, the purpose of having you in, apart from seeing this wonderful film and Larry in work, the purpose of having you in here is to try and encourage a little bit of support in the local area, perhaps to set up a branch, because to be blunt about it, they are few and far between throughout the country, and there's big gaps between them. We're
Yes.
trying to help bridge that gap. What sort of how many people would it take to set up a local branch, for example?
The minimum requirement is 3, but with friends and members, then of course it can take off, and the more you have, the more fundraising you can achieve, and so it'll grow.
You've actually set up 2 local branches on your own, haven't
Yes,
you,
the West Berkshire branch and of course recently the Reading branch, but it would be lovely to have one in East Berkshire.
And of course in Middlesex, which
and
is...
eventually the Shire counties, as we get better known and can help people with disabilities.
To wrap it all up, Caroline, basically you're looking for people who'd like maybe to make a donation, people who'd like to become involved in setting up a branch. If people are watching, what would they do? How would they do it?
If they'd like to get in touch with our head office in Leamington Spa, they would be able to give all details and further information.
Okay, we've got the address right there, Caroline. That's Francis Hay House. This is the address for Dogs for the Disabled. Francis Hay House, Branbury Road, Bishop's Tatchbrook, Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, CV 33 9UQ, or you can telephone them on 0926, that's the code for Leamington Spa, 651179. A fax number is also available, and that number will also appear on the Moving Magazine service, which is available 24 hours a day. Caroline, Larry, it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very
wish you continued happy association with the man in your life.
Man,
And we'll hopefully get some support for you from this, and let's set up another branch.
that would be wonderful.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. And of course, Larry, thank you. I can't see you, but there we are. Recently, we featured the fashion show at the Observatory. With the limited time available on our programme, we were unable to show Steve Hyland's chat with the lovely Scorpio. Let's put that right. By the way, Gladiator Scorpio is the one in the leotard.
So we're in the Observatory today. It is a fashion show. With me I have the lovely Scorpio from Gladiators. Nikki, it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Now, you've really, over the past couple of months, you've been travelling the country, it seems, non-stop, along with the TV programme, the live shows, personal events like this. To be a gladiator, it looks like you've got to have a real healthy living style just to maintain the pace.
It's true, and also my little girl keeps me up still at night, so it's very difficult, but it's great fun, because you get the chance to meet the kids.
Now, I suppose everybody asks you, the success of Gladiators has been a runaway success, even more successful here in the UK than the original programmes were in the States.
Yeah.
What do you think the reason for that is?
I think we probably do appeal more to the kids. It's very bright, there's lots of music. It's sort of like, I think, cartoon characters come to life. I think that's the way they played it anyway.
So tell me about Wolf. Is he really as bad as everybody says he sounds?
Yes.
I mean, what would he be doing on a Saturday morning?
Oh, we don't let him out at weekends. No, he'll be in his kennel now, chained down.
Chained down?
Yes. No, he'll be howling, but we won't let him out.
Is there a new series of gladiators coming out very shortly when they can let him out?
Oh, yes. We will let him out for the series, but we do chain him in between shows. Yeah, it'll be about 25 to 27 shows. It's going to be a big series.
Now, you've just finished a live show at Wembley, or a series of live shows at Wembley, where you're actually meeting the very keen hunters as they come along. Is that hard work? Because the TV show, from what I've read, seems to take maybe a whole day to record a single programme or whatever, but the live show is a proper show, isn't it?
Yes, the live shows, they take about 3 hours, and we do 2 live shows a day. We did 7 shows in 4 days. We were very tired at the end of it, yes.
But what about the people that come along now to challenge the gladiators? Are they fitter? Are they stronger? Do they play harder? 25,000
people applied to be contenders this year, and they've been whittled down to a few, and they are some of the fittest people in the country. And one of the girls who will probably be a contender at Birmingham is the fastest 800 metres runner in the country. I mean, we've got pentathletes, triathletes, they're very fit.
So looking at very healthy people.
Yep.
What about from your point of view, though? Are they now matching your stamina, and are you getting injured as well?
Well, we always did get injuries, but they're not injuries caused by contenders. They're ligament damage, strains, tendinitis, things you do to yourself.
Because it's working very hard, I suppose, in the training.
But I think we're as tough as they are. Yeah. I know we're as tough as they are.
Listen, you've got to be as tough as they are. What about training? Is it a lot of work? You've got to be very, very fit. The people that you're now competing against are getting fitter and fitter. Do you do a lot of training?
It varies because we are so busy at the moment. I like to get in about an hour and a half weights, maybe 4 hours aerobics a week, an hour and a half a day weights.
I think you've got to fit everything as well, being a mother as well, haven't you?
That's it, yeah.
Well, we're here today at the fashion show. Now, whenever I've seen you, you're always wearing your costume like this, but what about your taste in fashion? What sort of things do you look for when you're going out, should say, buying the more casual stuff as opposed to a leotard or something?
Well, it depends. I mean, casual stuff, it varies from jeans to a sweatshirt. I mean, when you've got a 3-year-old, you need to do a lot of picking up. So the more comfortable, the better. But I go to town at night. I mean, I like to wear good evening clothes.
The full business.
Oh, I do.
Like myself, indeed.
Absolutely.
Listen, I hope it goes well for you with the new series of Gladiators. It's been lovely talking to you again. The very best of luck on that. Give our regards to the rest of the Gladiators as well when you see them. And we look forward to seeing you at the fashion show as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Nicky.
That was a big smile on Steve's face, and who could blame him, quite frankly? Now, attention all volunteers. Britain's leading award scheme, which recognises the work of some of the country's most committed volunteers, is launched this month. The Whitbread Volunteer Action Awards, now in their 12th year, attract around 1,000 nominations annually from supporters of this huge unpaid workforce. People who give up their time to make a difference to other people's lives without thought of recognition. Backed by the Volunteer Centre UK, the National Development Agency for Volunteering in the Community, a cause since taken up by the government through its Make a Difference campaign. With 12 categories covering England, Scotland and Wales, the Whitbread scheme provides the opportunity for volunteers, both young and old, to win prizes of up to £1,000 each. Half of this money must be donated to the cause for which they were nominated. The Whitbread Volunteer of the Year is chosen from the category winners and will receive a further £1,000. Can't be bad. Entries for this year's awards must be received by the 23rd of September '94. Plenty of time to go, but you know how it slips away. Independent panels of judges select the winners, and they'll be invited to a presentation ceremony in London at the end of the year. Nomination forms are available by writing to the following address: Whitbread Volunteer Action Awards, Free Post, LOL 1936, Luton, Bedfordshire, LU1 3YR. Won't cost you a penny to do it, it's free post. Time now for a quick break, and still to come we find out more about the Learning Channel, that's cable channel 31. We'll be giving you some helpful advice on protecting your mobile phone, meeting Ron Piggott walking the length of the country for charity, and discussing boxing with Umran Shiraz. You're watching Scene on 7 and it's 21 minutes past the hour.
Ideal Home Superstore.
Whatever you're looking for to furnish your house, look no further than the
Ideal Home Superstore.
In our giant store on the Bath Road, Sippenham, the choice just has to be seen to be believed. With interest-free credit on some items, this is the ideal place.
Ideal Home,
388 to 389 Bath Road, just off Junction 7. It's the ideal
Superstore.
I'm a real dummy. So if they ever let me get behind the wheel of a car, you know what I'd do? I'd never watch out for cyclists or motorcyclists, especially at junctions and roundabouts. Why should I care if they're more fragile than me, huh? I could also hit them when turning or reversing or just by opening my car door without checking in my mirrors first. I could behave just as badly on a bike. I'd start by not using my lights at night. Whoosh. Then, by riding as if I owned the road, I could intimidate pedestrians by cycling through red lights or riding on the pavement. Just as well I'm only a dummy, isn't it? Don't be a dummy. Consider the needs of others. Remember, you're not the only one on the road.
Welcome back. This is Scene on 7 and you're watching WMTV. Recently, Mayor Sheila Thorpe came into the studio during the last few weeks of her year in office. And this week saw the official handover to new Mayor Councillor Ron Sibley. The proceedings were delayed quite rightly for 1 minute's silence as a mark of respect for Labour leader John Smith, who died recently. After this, the official documents were signed and Mayor Sheila Thorpe officially handed over to Councillor Ron Sibley. The new mayor made a short speech enjoyed by all the guests and friends and family who were there, and then they enjoyed a celebratory dinner and thoroughly enjoyed the evening. We were glad to be there, very, very happy indeed, and we look forward to meeting Councillor, should I say, Mayor Ron Sibley, the new mayor of Slough, in the studio as soon as he possibly can. We wish him well. My next guest has the admiration of everyone here at WMTV, and I'm sure you at home when you hear what he's about to undertake. Welcome, Ron Piggott. Ron, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the studio. Now, you're about to do something a little bit special. A walk from Land's End to John O'Groats, all in aid of charity and to cover some personal goals, I think it's fair to say, yeah?
Yes, that's right.
Now, this walk is 1,050 miles, for anybody who doesn't know it. It's an epic thing to take on. Why are you doing it?
Well, I've always liked challenges. I used to do long-distance cycling when I was younger, and I did a sponsored parachute jump about 10 years ago. And
Lived to
I
tell
decided,
the tale.
well, only just. I did turn my ankle. But when I was in the bank, I used to be the manager of Midland Bank at Langley for 10 years or so. I developed this idea that I'd like to walk the Pennine Way. And I would have done it years ago, but it's about 250 miles, far too long to do in a summer holiday. So I kind of packed the idea away behind my ideas to do it when I retired. And as time went by, the Pennine Way kind of stretched itself out and became Land's End to John O'Groats. But
it's the ultimate walking challenge, really.
Well, yes, yes. I believe quite a lot of people do it, but no one that I actually know has done it. And so now I'm going to do the Pennine Way, starting from Land's End and finishing at John O'Groats.
The longest Pennine Way walk in
history. That's
right. There is one other very worthwhile reason for doing it, and the main reason we've asked you to come in, apart from the fact that you're a local gentleman and it's of local interest, is the fact that you're doing it for a couple of charities. Tell me about those.
Yes. I thought long about which charities I wanted to support, and I narrowed it down in the end to 3.
Because they mean something personally to you. There are hundreds of charities to choose from. You've got to pick some.
That's right. The main local charity is the East Berkshire Children's Appeal, which is organised by Lynn Woodward, a lovely lady. And that raises money for special equipment for handicapped children in Heatherwood and Wexham children's wards.
In the hospital, one at Ascot and one at Slough.
That's right, yes. Also, cancer is a blight of this century, isn't it? My father died of cancer, also my brother and a number of my friends. So I'm raising money for cancer research through the Cancer Research Campaign. And the other beneficiary is going to be the British Heart Foundation. My daughter Victoria had an open heart operation when she was 2 years old. And the British Heart Foundation funded the research that made that operation possible.
At Harefield Hospital,
yes,
with the man himself?
Professor Yacoub.
Yes,
he saved my daughter's life.
Well, certainly worthwhile causes. Now, this walk, as we say, is 1,050 miles. I'm speechless in admiration for you, as everyone who found out you were going to do it is. How long will it take you to walk from Land's End to John O'Groats?
Right, well, on the programme that I've set for myself, the actual walking time will be about 9 weeks, but I'm allowing myself a few rest days, so it will stretch it out a little, about 10 weeks, I think, altogether.
Now, you're doing this single-handed. Have you got any form of support team backing you up throughout the walk?
Well, basically, I'm walking alone, but my family are coming down to the start, and they're going to walk the first 10 miles with me, as far as Penzance. After that, I've got a whole collection of friends and members of my Rotary Club, Langley and Ivor, who are going to join me for bits of the walk, and we're kind of jigsawing it together.
And what about the celebratory end walk, a la Ian Botham? I suppose you're going to do that too, are you? They're all going to be there to meet you.
Well, I don't know about that. It's 1,000 miles away, isn't it?
Perhaps it'll be a surprise.
Yes, perhaps they'll be waiting for me at the railway station in London.
It would be a nice way to go.
Yes.
Now, in addition to the amount of stuff you've got to carry, must be immense. In addition to the strain of doing the walk, you've got to carry... Talk us through some of the equipment that you've got to take with us. First priority, excellent pair of walking boots, and I presume a pair of spare?
No, I'm relying on one pair to see me right through.
You've got faith in the British shoe industry, haven't
yeah,
you?
they are good boots.
Right.
The best I could find. And they're only about 4 weeks old now, which alarmed me because I always expected that the pair of boots I had up until recently would see me through, and they started to fall apart at the heel. So I thought, wow, 4 weeks before the walk and I've got to break in new boots. But I've done quite a lot of walking these in the last 4 weeks.
Huge rucksack. What sort of things do you carry in the rucksack? You don't need to take them all out, but just talk us through.
Well, from the start of the walk to the end, I've got to carry everything with me except food. So it's change clothes, first aid kit, blister pack.
Vital
which
part of the equipment.
Well, I hope I won't need it. That sort of thing. Maps.
And you're obviously going to photograph what goes on, are you, on the walk?
Yes.
And you've got your camera in there and the water bottle. And
2 cameras, one for prints, one for transparencies, a water bottle. There's a back pocket in here which I'll have a little book to write my diary in as I go.
Any thoughts about writing about it afterwards? Maybe a book in the offing?
I might, yes.
I think that'd be great. You could maybe earn some more money for charity.
If there's enough in the walk to create a book, I shall do something like that.
It's also quite a unique thing to do, apart from the walk and the charitable aspect of it, which is all very plausible, but you get to see our country from one end to the other.
Well, that's one thing that interests me, because the type of buildings that people live in down in Cornwall are very different from the Midlands, and they're different again from Scotland. And I'm fascinated with the way the landscape and the people's houses will change as I progress north.
Hoping to meet some characters on the way too.
Yes.
Where exactly are you going to stay along the route? Have you pre-planned a route and pre-planned your reservations?
Well, I've pre-planned it for the first weeks.
Right.
And I shall be staying in bed and breakfast, youth hostels, which is an important part of my accommodation. And I've mentioned that I belong to the Rotary Club. Well, that's a worldwide organisation. And I've been contacting Rotary clubs along my route and asking them in various places if they'll give me overnight accommodation. And it's always been yes.
In total contrast, as you said, your background was a bank manager for the last 10 years of your working life. You retired 2 years ago.
Yes.
What do your former colleagues think about all this? I mean, they must think you're crazy.
Some people think I'm crazy, but most have taken on the sort of attitude that you've demonstrated, thinking it's a great idea.
And what about your ex-customers? Are they going to get their revenge, hoping you get bad blisters after writing all those nasty letters to them?
Well, in the main, I think I had a pretty good relationship with my customers, and I think they always found me helpful rather than a bit heavy-handed.
My bank manager was never like you when I went to see him. I wish he was. But all this equipment, what's your biggest worry that you have about something going wrong? What's your biggest worry?
My biggest worry is that I'll handicap myself, crock my knee, turn my ankle, get totally exhausted and can't carry on. Just that. I'm okay for resolution. I'm pretty fit.
Very, very determined as well.
Determined.
And,
yes.
and what's the biggest, apart from the fact that you're going to raise a lot of money for charity and it's a personal ambition, what's the biggest plus point about doing this?
Well, it's a celebration for me. Apart from raising money, it's a long-term plan coming true. It's my celebration for being retired. It's my celebration for being 60 years old.
The fulfilment of many a dream.
Yeah, over 10 years.
Wish you well on it. Now, if anyone's watching and they'd like to help you in any way, financially, back you, or send money to the charity,
yes.
sponsor you, whatever,
right.
What should they do?
Well, they can go into Midland Bank Langley and pay some money over the counter. Must say what it's for.
Yep.
And there'll be an account there that the staff will credit.
I think we've got a graphic which says just that.
Or they can write to me, care of Midland Bank Langley.
Right.
Or they could telephone me.
And telephone you.
544 550. That's the Slough number.
That's the phone number right there.
544
3544 550. That's
right.
the number of the Midland Bank in Langley. 0753 544 550.
Actually, that's my personal number.
Oh, is it? That's
yes.
your home number?
Yeah, that's my home number.
Or they can pop into the Midland Bank in
yes.
Langley and they'll
yes.
know all about it.
That's
Say,
right.
Ron Piggott sent me.
Right.
I'm now going to give him money and I don't want any of it back.
Right.
Ron, it's been a pleasure meeting you and I wish you every success. We'll keep up to date with your progress and come back and see us when it's all over.
Thank you very much.
With a new pair of boots.
Right.
Thank you, Ron, and the very best of luck. Right now, we continue our look at the selection, the wide selection indeed of viewing that's available on cable. Channel 31 comes under scrutiny this week. It's called the Learning Channel, and here's what you can expect.
From viewing to doing, this is the Learning Channel.
The opposite sex. Could it be that they're not as opposite as we think?
Certainly, culturally, men have been given more permission and to be very visibly sexual.
Why not try cooking with the culinary masters, the Roux brothers? Gain the skills necessary to improve your basic knowledge so that no dish will prove a handicap.
Do not interrupt when I'm
I
talking.
finished, so you better move on.
Take a look at family life and the issues that confront us.
What you do now has an impact on who you are later, and you cannot go back and turn back the hands of time and go, oops.
Why not improve your level of sporting ability?
Move your feet very fast because you want to get under the ball.
Look at Gabby's beautiful movement and copy it.
The most important stroke in the game of tennis is the serve. Theoretically, we should win our serve, so we want to have a good serve.
Get an insight into foreign lands.
You can eat all that. Yeah, it's all full of insects.
Whoa, Gabby!
I am going to stuff these boned-out chickens with a painted crane.
Take a closer look at the events that formed our modern world and the way in which we can shape our own destiny.
As much as the forces of nature, we, human beings, are a factor in the shaping of our landscape. Our Bronze Age ancestors did the same. They dug ditches and built ramparts lined with sarsen stone.
Take a closer look at the world we live in.
As much as half the energy used by an older house is wasted.
You know, the energy you save from recycling one bottle will keep this light bulb going for 4 hours.
Why not choose a hobby and learn techniques that will enhance your enjoyment?
Creativity is digging deeper.
I'm not suggesting every kid should grow up to be an artist, but I want them to have the freedom of expression.
When you put people in the right circumstances, everyone is creative.
The exasperating thing about deafness is that it's an invisible handicap. A deaf child with language can lead a normal, productive life.
Every female in my age group, the size of your body is sort of a representation of what kind of person you are.
And you look at somebody and it takes a split second and you can say, that person has nice legs.
Learn hobbies that you've always wanted to master.
Grayling prefer to feed when the temperature is low. The largest grayling are found north of the Arctic Circle. And in Britain, it's often easiest to catch them in the last cold hour or so of daylight.
This is TLC, the channel for learning.
The Learning Channel can be found on Channel 30, regrettably, burglary, sorry, not the channel regrettably, you know what I mean. Regrettably, burglary and theft in general is on the increase, but the thieves have now targeted high-tech gadgetry and in particular mobile phones. There's a new scheme designed to prevent this disturbing trend, and Tom Magner, our ace crime reporter, has all the details.
Hello? Is that Mr. Granger? Yes, who's that? You ever thought about investing in a car alarm? What? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. How about a handbrake lock? No, look, who is this? What about a deadlock then? Whoever you are. Just take a look in your driveway, mate. And by the way, love the car phone.
Love them or hate them, mobile phones like this hand portable have been around now for 9 years. They were once thought of as the fashion accessory of high-flying executives, but now they're an essential tool for nearly 2 million people. But lately there's been a worrying new trend. This former status symbol has become a target for the criminals. While industry has been putting pressure on the government to tighten the law, here on the streets of Chiswick, police and community have been coming together in a practical new approach. Acting Chief Superintendent Ted Peel from the Chiswick Division has been testing a new system for tagging phones. Every month, around 10,000 mobile phones are reported stolen across the country. It's a problem that accounts for 40% of all car crime in city centres. What's been the impact of this pilot programme here?
We had a pilot for 2 weeks with the firm of Securitel. It was linked into our motor vehicle crime initiative, and we did have quite a problem with motor vehicle crime in general, but specifically with mobile phone theft from motor vehicles. And we found that the pilot has helped us to reduce that substantially.
But what happens when the trial finishes and the criminals perhaps move elsewhere? Aren't you just really shifting the problem?
Well, that, of course, is a great problem. It's a problem, I think, for the industry. It's a problem of coordination. It's where we go from here. We've tried to do things locally in that we're getting all our phones marked locally, that's police phones, and we now feel that the industry needs to take this on and to spread it wider.
What lessons do you think are there for other forces around the country?
Well, I think the first lesson is that motor vehicle crime or mobile phone theft involving motor vehicle crime, it isn't a problem which cannot be solved, but it does need some clear thinking. If you're prepared to spend a bit of time and a bit of effort in actually doing something about it, you can actually do something about it and stop it.
The Chiswick experiment shows one way of keeping the phone's identity even after re-chipping. Peter Wolford is project manager with Securitel. Now, you've developed this tagging system. How does it work?
Well, the phones are marked with a tag that carries a unique registration number, and that number is recorded against ownership details on a confidential database. If the phone is lost, the police can trace it through the database and get it back to its rightful owner. Anyone holding a phone that is marked like that is also in danger of being proved to have handled stolen goods, so it's a deterrent against theft.
But it's really looking after the event, isn't it? It doesn't actually prevent the initial theft.
Well, because it is a visible system, it is a deterrent against theft because it will prompt thieves not to steal marked phones. Figures show that you are 72% less likely to get a Securitel marked phone stolen.
Now, the database, of course, doesn't cover the country, and it's one held by your company, so it's only really as good as its shelf life, in a sense, and how extensive it is. So it can't really be that effective, can it?
Well, we've worked very hard to tell police all over the country, because obviously stolen phones move from different areas, to tell police all over the country about the scheme, and the database has the facility to expand as big as it needs to, really.
When the Securitel tag's glued to the phone casing, it etches the database serial number permanently into the casing and leaves an imprint which can be seen under ultraviolet light. When you switch on a mobile phone, it tells the network its unique electronic serial number. It's this ESN identification which the criminal can change, making a second-hand phone virtually untraceable. Jill McLean, Public Relations Manager for Cellnet, one of the two original network operators. Jill, how can re-chipping be prevented?
Well, the situation at the moment is that a mobile phone is only valuable if it has a valid ESN. What the criminals are doing with stolen phones is programming in new ESNs that haven't yet been used. What we're doing as an industry is to try and tighten up the control on these new ESNs so that there aren't actually any freely available numbers to be programmed into a phone, and that way we'd get rid of the problem.
Isn't really what's needed that the legislation should be sorted out and tightened up?
Well, the situation at the moment, again, is that the process of re-chipping is not actually illegal. So it's not a crime to do this to a mobile phone. Once a mobile phone has been re-chipped, you can't actually trace the original ESN. So yes, we're actually calling on the government to outlaw the process of re-chipping and to make it a criminal offence.
Some would say that really it's not in the industry's interests at all to actually actively campaign in that way, because after all, every time a phone is stolen, you've got to supply a new one.
No, I disagree with that completely. It's not good for the industry at all to have this as a problem, and it's not good for the country. Nobody's going to want to buy a mobile phone if they think that it's going to make them the target of a crime.
Believe it or not, your phone's one of your most valuable possessions. If you do have to leave it in the car, put it in the boot out of sight. But best of all, take it with you. Don't leave your mobile phone on its own.
Thanks, Tom. Brilliant stuff, as always. Now, my final guest this week is Umran Shiraz. He's a local boxer, and we thought it was high time that we featured this sport, which, let's be honest, is surrounded by some controversy from time to time. Umran, welcome.
Hello.
Let's have a look at boxing in a positive light, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
You're a boxer, you've been doing it for some time. How long have you been boxing?
About 6 years, from when I started to junior up to senior now, so it's been about 6 years.
And what first prompted your interest in boxing? I mean, are there any family connections?
Yeah, my father used to be a professional boxer, and you know, I really just got interested in the sport because of him. Plus, I wanted to get off the streets, you know, just get into the ring.
Helps you keep fit as well.
That's it, yeah,
Added
get fit as well, yeah.
Now, it's hard work, all the training and everything else. It requires a lot of single-mindedness and dedication and that sort of thing. We'll come over to that in just a moment. A lot of people, in the light of things that have happened recently regarding Michael Watson and Bradley Stone in particular, have said that boxing is dangerous and it should be banned. What's your opinion?
My opinion on this is there's a lot of other sports which is, you know, dangerous, like motorsports, horse racing. You've got rugby, you've got football. Loads of people die in that, and you know, just people are picking on boxing. You got to put it into perspective. You know, people see it as it's just like all brawn, you know, and no brains. But it's more to do with psychology. You know, you got to be very dedicated. You got to be 100% fit when you get into that ring. It's just people. They're
focusing on the bad points, and they're not looking at the overall picture, which is that hardly any boxers get killed, and basically it's a one-off, it's an accident. It's going to happen from time to time. It's very sad, but that's life, right? The other thing is, of course, that they forget to mention, I think it's fair to say, that you go through very stringent medical tests, both on your heart and your overall physical condition, before you're allowed to fight at all.
Yeah, every fight, you know, you get a very deep, thorough you know, investigation of your body, and then you're allowed to box. It's just the professionals back into the game, they come back for the money because of bad management promotion, and that's what gives it a bad name, because they're not 100% fit and they're coming up against people who, you know, young, youthful, and they want the title.
And they want to make money out of the sport.
Right.
There's a lot of training and dedication, single-mindedness of attitude. That's what already. Describe a typical training routine that comes up just before a big fight, particularly.
Well, you could be training up to 5 to 6 days a week. You know, doing your road running. It's very intensive training. I'd say it's one of the toughest sports, if not the toughest. You know, you've got to be at your peak of fitness if you want to win, if you want to be a champion. And you've got to always have that attitude, determination, you know, just
do you
to
ever get nervous before a fight?
Well, you do, but you've got to, you know, get that all behind you and just think, you know, quietly confident and just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit him before he hits you.
That's it.
Right. What standard have you reached now? Because you're at quite a high level and you're kind of on the verge of greatness there, aren't you? What standard are you at?
I've won 3 national titles, juniors, junior ABAs, national schoolboys, and then ABCs, and just recently I won my first senior title. That was the NABCC class.
Congratulations.
At the welterweight class. And hopefully I should be getting picked for the Young England to go to Sardinia. If not, I'll be going to a school in America. It's called the Sugar Ray Robinson Foundation School, and should get scholarship there.
Is the ultimate aim to turn pro one day and perhaps make money out of the sport that you love?
Well, really, it's not the money. I mean, it's...
Okay, that's a byproduct. Sorry, it wasn't a loaded question.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, do you want to turn professional one day?
Yeah, definitely. God willing, I will one day.
And the connotation of that is when you turn professional, you get paid for what you do, which is great.
That's it, yeah.
And you earn it, let's be fair.
Yeah.
It is the toughest game in the world.
It's very tough. It's just you got to have the good management, and I don't want to turn like the other boxers, come back into the ring when I'm old, come back for the money. I just want to make, enjoy my life, but have some good management as well.
Yeah, get some security behind you and then get out.
That's it.
The relationship between trainer, management, that sort of thing, but in particular, the trainer and the boxer is crucial to a boxer and his career path and all that. Now, you've got a great trainer, you're very happy with him.
Yeah.
Tell me about that special relationship.
My trainer is Bill Chamberlain. He's helped me out a lot. He's, well, God willing, he's going to take me all the way. He's got all the contacts. And, just go for it, really.
You can't speak highly enough.
Yeah, he's just like another father to me. That's the relationship, and I trust him 100%.
And that's got to be twofold, though, hasn't it?
That's it, it has to be, yeah.
What does he say to you when you're sitting in the corner between rounds? What does he say? Come on, you're not doing well enough. What does he say?
Yeah, if you lose, he's got to really pump you up.
It's fairly severe with
and to go for it, yeah. And if you're winning, he just keeps you going.
Pats you on the back.
But not too much patting.
Right. Sorry. Tell me, in all honesty, just one overall question. You can say yes or no. Does it hurt?
No.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry, I don't believe you.
While the adrenaline's flowing, it doesn't hurt. The day after, maybe you get a couple of bruises. But the aim of the game is to hit the other person, not be hit yourself. Use your brain. There's other boxers have got the style of just brawn, but brain has always beat brawn. I know that.
And that's your philosophy on the subject.
That's it, yeah.
And good one it is too. If there's any boxer that you could possibly emulate and reach his level of achievement in the history of boxing, who would it be?
It'd have to be that Sugar Ray Robinson.
Any particular reason? I mean,
he was just the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, I reckon.
And this foundation, this school, Sugar Ray Robinson School in America, is that something this is something you hope to go to and train there?
Yeah.
Would you say the standard of training in America is better than it is in this country?
Well, obviously, there's more money. In some aspects, it is, and in some aspects, it's not. Here, there's too much politics, especially if you look in the amateur sport at the moment. The English ABA are breaking out from the Scottish and the Welsh. They're all going to, be single parties, which is not good. Whereas in America, you've got the one foundation, and they all stick together.
So would it be fair to say then that what you're trying to do is combine the best of both? So you've got the best of the British backing that you've got, and your heritage, and your trainer, and that sort of thing, and go over and then perhaps learn a little bit.
Yeah, well, no doubt, there's some of the best boxers in the world over in America. That's where you get the best practice, really.
Current fighters, who do you rate at the moment that you're
current
particular fan of?
I'd say.
How about the famous one? How about Eubank?
Eubank is a good boxer, but he's a good businessman. I'll give him that. He's a good businessman. He brings in the crowd. I'd say for guts, Holyfield. He's lost the title, but he has got a lot of guts.
Stylish fighter, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get in there with him, would you? Finally, we've got some footage. Just before we wrap this up, we've got some footage here. Talk us through this.
This was the NABC finals against a guy called Patrick Lana. It's last round, coming up to the end.
And which one's you?
I'm the one just holding on there. He's the one with the badges.
The one with the badges?
Yeah, that's it.
Right. And this is just getting towards the end of the fight.
Yeah.
How many rounds is this fight?
This is 3 rounds, both of us tied. It's very awkward to come at boxer.
Really, really tiring. And he holds the hand up, and guess who the winner is?
He's just getting a public warning at the moment.
Sure.
He's just lost a point.
And this is you moving him to finish him off, right?
That's
oh, that
it.
was a nice right hook.
Yeah.
Is that your specialist punch?
I'll try to vary as much as I can.
Right.
And there it is, there's the finish.
And is this the worst moment of the fight? When you're standing in a neutral corner waiting for the announcement by the referee, and okay, you're confident that you've done enough to win, but ultimately it's their decision. So is this the worst bit?
Well, you have quiet confidence that you've done it, and I did after this fight.
Well, that's the worst bit.
Yeah, when it's close.
And then this is the best bit, right?
Yeah, this is the best bit.
Judge's decision, and you've got it.
You can't beat it. That's the best.
Congratulations. That must be the best feeling.
It is. It's, you know, people have drugs to get themselves high, but that's the best.
That's
the
the
best
ultimate
way to,
high.
Yeah, that is the ultimate high.
So what's around the corner for you? We hopefully you'll be going to Sardinia.
Yeah.
And the Sugar Ray Robinson.
Yeah.
How long before you may turn professional?
Well, hopefully I want to go to 96 Olympics in Atlanta, and God willing win the gold, then turn pro after that.
Wish you luck.
Cheers.
All the very best. Okay.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much indeed, Umran. We wish you continued success, and there we are. That's about it. Our 30th programme ends right here. Just time to remind you that our moving magazine service is available 24 hours a day. And if you'd like to be part of it, do so. The telephone answering service where you can leave your message can be found on the following phone number. It is 0753 811 817. That's 0753 811 817. Or you can write to us on any subject at all at the usual address, which is Scene on 7, WMtv, P.O. Box 7, Slough SL3, 6ET. That's Slough SL3, 6ET. Right, my thanks to all the team here at WMtv, as usual, and my special guests today, Umran Shiraz, Ron Piggott, Caroline Oldfield, and of course, Larry. But especially you for watching. Join me again next week for Scene on 7. Until then, goodbye. Let's have a good day, lads.